What is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build studio in New York City. Folks, it is that time of year again. Television's longest running event, the one and only Shark Week, kicked off its 30th anniversary. Yes, we shall applaud for Shark Week. 30th anniversary, people. Kicked off its 30th anniversary last night, runs through July 29th. And here at Build, we're celebrating the only way we know how. That's right, we're releasing live sharks directly into the audience. Right now, we're going, nope, hang on, no. Read it wrong. It's just hats. We're just giving you hats. Okay, good. That's way safer. All right, thank God. Not only that, though, guess what? Also, a true badass of an evolutionary biologist is here. Her special Great White Shark Babies premieres this Friday and has my vote for week's greatest tagline. They're big, they're angry, and they're pregnant. That's real. I didn't make that up. I'm super excited to chat with her. Folks, Dr. Toby Daly-Engel is here. How about that? Make some noise for Dr. Toby. She is so awesome. We're going to bring her out in just a second. But first, I think we got a quick look at the special, so let's go ahead and run that clip.
The team works together to collect the DNA. They want samples from a variety of sharks here. Penetrating water and shark skin that's very thick will require a lot of force. So Toby has a new weapon.
So we're going to try and biopsy this animal using a modified biopsy tip that goes onto the front of a spear gun. So these are fast-moving sharks, so it really needs a spear gun to try and get that biopsy sample, which will end up being about this big. It doesn't take a whole lot of skin to get DNA.
This spear gun has more than enough power.
Female sharks have really, really thick skin, a lot thicker than the males, because during mating, the females get bit and even slashed by the male's teeth.
DNA sampling is Toby's expertise. It's time for her to get wet. Mauricio may be fine diving outside the cage with apex predators, but Toby stays behind bars for her shot at science.
Look at this one. It's getting to the cage.
It works.
Well done.
Toby nails the shot and gets the sample.
There's one shark below the cage, and I was waiting for it to come back up, and it totally missed. A shark passing right there. So this is a perfect example of the kind of tissue that we want. It's a nice cylindrical piece. You can tell that the biopsy dart went in more or less perpendicular to the body. It's got both skin and potentially a dermal fat sample. We can definitely get DNA from this, so this is perfect.
Oh, you gotta give it up. Make some noise, Dr. Toby Daly-Engel, everybody. I told you, she's badass. You saw that. Boom. That was amazing. It's so funny.
You.
I didn't know that was the clip we had, and that was the exact moment that I brought up when I saw you in the green room, because it just stuck with me how cool that was. I really want to get into that moment. We will, but we've got plenty of time here. First of all, how are you doing? How's life right now?
Well, thanks for having me. This is super fun.
Oh my God, it's so much fun to have you here. And also, congratulations are in order. I was just reading a paper that you're one of the 4 co-authors on. You just named a new species of shark. Is that how this went down? Tell me about this.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
My graduate student, Mariah Flager, she is actually now a shark advocate for Oceana in DC. That was the first part of her graduate project. We discovered that this shark had the wrong name.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a deep water shark. It actually, half of all sharks occur deeper than 100 to 500 meters.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you, first of all, fascinating. Second of all, how do you know it has the wrong name? How do you look at that? That's not the name of that shark.
Well, it took some time because down deep, apparently, they all kind of look alike. I mean, that's the thing. And also, they're hard to get. So not only do a lot of the sharks kind of look pretty similar because the same evolutionary pressures are shaping their bodies in the same environment.
Right.
But once we use genetics, we actually found a whole bunch of what we call cryptic diversity, where I'm assuming that these animals that have the same name are the same species. But then using genetic tools, it turns out they're like night and day.
It's pretty wild. And this was great. I saw it was named after Dr. Eugene Clark, affectionately referred to as the Shark Lady. That's a big deal. If you could explain a little bit of the significance of that, why it's named after Dr. Clark. And
Eugenie Clark, Dr. Eugenie Clark is a pioneer of shark science. She wasn't just one of the first shark biologists. She was one of the first marine biologists, and she was female. She was amazing. Yeah. She actually grew up in New York and started studying sharks, eventually became a professor. And she really forged the way for everybody who studies sharks, but especially the women. Right. And I had her book when I was young.
Did you really?
The Lady and the Sharks, yep. And so as soon as we had the opportunity to describe a shark species and name it after someone, we were like, oh, we have to name it after Jeannie. She's amazing. She taught the Emperor of Japan how to snorkel. She worked with Jacques Cousteau. She died in 2015 at the age of 92, and she was still scuba diving.
That's amazing.
She's amazing, and so really deserving of the name.
Yeah, for sure. So you had the book growing up. Is that how far back you can trace the little seeds of passion that you have watered and fostered over the years, and now here you are doing these amazing things? Is the book the earliest memory? Does it go back a little farther? Or?
I actually got the book because I loved sharks.
Got it.
And to be honest, I've asked my parents.
Yeah.
I said to them, I was like, Mom, where did this all come from? And she didn't know what happened when I was really little. There must have been something. But honestly, they don't know. They were trying to encourage. Yeah, they knew I loved marine science, and they were kind of like, okay, we'll see where this goes.
As a child, where did you stand on the film Jaws? Were you the only one that was like, yeah, we're really excited. Lights down. I'm having a great time. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, don't take that away from that shark. That shark got that woman fair and square. No, I'm
rooting for Jaws. You watch Jaws and you root for the shark, whose name I don't think is Jaws, by the way, but I call him Jaws.
Yeah, I think it might be Bruce. Actually,
yeah,
I don't know.
So yeah.
I that show terrified me. That movie terrified me, just like everybody else. But it's a really good point that it really plays on the natural fear that everybody has of sharks, because being scared of sharks is normal. It's total. I mean, there are times when I feel that way too, and you just have to know that it's really the fear of the unknown, because you are not going to get bitten by a shark. You're more likely to get killed by a vending machine than a shark.
That's fascinating and terrifying. I use vending machines all the time.
Just don't shake them.
I never go in the ocean, but I'm terrified of vending machines now. You flipped that for me. You know, I was talking to you backstage about how you're badass. We saw the clip. We got to see you do that thing. Talk to me about that moment. You hop in the cage, you get all suited up, you got your little science gun, and you're just, it is so cool, and you nail that shot. Were there other missed shots? I think you talked about at least one other missed shot. How many shots did it take because you get it spot on when you look at the sample and everything, you're like, this is exactly what we wanted. That couldn't have been on the first swing.
Well, that was a good shot for that shark. There were other sharks that I didn't get quite as good of an angle, and so I got a piece of tissue, but it wasn't like that perfect cylinder. And it was amazing how many sharks were around. And, you know, that was the first time I had sampled from the cage before, because normally you're working with other, not all sharks require that approach. And I've worked on many species. Of course, white sharks are really special. They're elusive. They're huge. We don't know really where they're going to show up. And so if you have a place like Guadalupe Island, where we know the white sharks are, and they've been coming to the cages because people dive with them, it was just too good an opportunity to pass up to sample DNA from a wild population. But, you know, there were so many sharks that I was kind of spoiled for choices. So what happened, what I was explaining in that shot, was that there was a shark coming around the cage, and I was tracking it with the gun, and it was getting further away. So it wasn't that great of a shot, but I was trying to take it, and then, meanwhile, there was a shark like right here that I could have just been like, but I missed it because there were so many around, and it was just mind blowing.
Is it like I don't know, I'm not a sports guy, but I think it was Gretzky that was like skate to where the puck's going, not where the puck is or whatever, something like that. Is it that kind of thing where you got to like watch the trajectory of this beautiful, majestic creature and complete free space and kind of make a best guess as to where they're heading and stuff? And is that how it works? Like, what's going in your head while you're trying to track that thing?
I just kind of get in the zone, to be honest. I mean, this is what I do for a living. In my mind, I'm thinking, I need to just get a sample of this animal's DNA, and however I can do it. So I don't think necessarily, oh, this is a great white shark, it could eat me. It's just, I get kind of focused, and I'm just like, okay, this sample, and then preservative, and, make sure the science happens. Yeah. But, a part of my mind, too, because it's white sharks, because they're so iconic, and because I love sharks, that's what I do. So, I get very focused, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm, science, but then there's a part of my brain always that's like, white sharks.
Now, you mentioned a very important part, which is that you have to block out the "this could eat me" part of your brain, because while the vending machines are statistically more dangerous,
you got to watch out for them.
They don't typically chomp off a part of my arm. The shark, way more capable of doing that, much more of a clean release. There's a moment in this show following that where you guys are trying to attach like a camera, I believe it is, to the fin of the shark. And this guy, there's no cage, nothing. And he's using a stick that couldn't be more than 2 feet long. And he is right behind this shark. Now, I'm sure that's as dangerous as it looks, but I was really curious to ask you, one, is that as dangerous as it looks? Because it's terrifying to me. And two, have you ever attempted anything of that nature, getting that close without the cage? And how does that work? And God, why?
Anything for the science.
Yeah,
but no, most of the time you don't dive directly with white sharks because they can be so dangerous. Mm-hmm. Mauricio Hoyos has been studying this one population of white sharks forever, so he's spent a lot of time watching them, and he knows a lot about their behavior. But to be honest, all sharks are pretty careful. They're very cautious, which is not something people realize about sharks. They are very long-lived. In fact, we're just finding out how long sharks live. White sharks take 25 years until they're mature, until they're ready to reproduce. And so they live 100 years or more. We don't really know. And other species may live even longer. And so you don't get to be that old and that big without being pretty cautious. And we know that a shark is no more likely to attack if it's just had a meal versus if it hasn't eaten for weeks. Really? They're not governed by hunger. They're opportunistic. They're kind of like wolves in that way. And they will absolutely hang back until they know. So you can see in that clip, when Mauricio approaches the shark, as soon as he touches it, it just takes off because nothing in its normal environment is going to try and swim up to it with a scuba tank. And so its first reaction is always going to be caution, even if it's this humongous predator.
That one in particular was pregnant at the time, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Do you find they're more defensive or more high alert when they're carrying young like that, or no?
Well, they definitely get grouchy.
Why wouldn't they?
But I mean,
Anybody
I mean, it only took me like 8.5 months to get that grouchy, let alone another, 7. But they're big. I mean, they can be touchy. You have to be very careful around them. So Mauricio has like a very special scientific permit, but no, we don't normally go in the water with white sharks.
That's what it's
Other species, I mean, it really just depends if that's what's required by science. And you can see they tried getting the camera tag on from the boat because normally with white sharks, you're working from a small boat on the surface. Yeah. And that's by far the safest way to go. And then, of course, the cages are safe, too. Yeah. Even though there's just, a little bit of metal between you and the animal. It gives the illusion of safety.
Yeah, it gives the illusion of safety, which causes the person in the cage to relax a little bit and be able to conduct proper science. I'm curious, you get asked a lot, I'm sure, like what are the common misconceptions and whatnot, which is a valid question. But what I'm really curious about, because the way you're saying, we've only recently found out that it takes them this long to do this and this long to do that. I'm wondering, especially with all the genetics that you guys have been able to learn from, what are some things that have blown your mind over the years, misconceptions in the field that you guys have disproven or figured out along the way? What's been like a big moment?
Well, one of the things that I study is reproduction. That's why I'm on the show. And I'm particularly interested in studying reproduction from a female perspective, because traditionally science has been done by men. That's just kind of traditional. And so reproduction has always been approached kind of from the male perspective. Like scientists studying birds, a lot of times, they're like looking at, is this best for the male? How does this help male fitness? And one of the things that we're finding now using genetics is that all is not what it appears. Because people have been watching birds since there were people. And we just assumed that if you see a male bird and a female bird shack up, build a nest, lay an egg or two, that those babies are the natural offspring of both of those parents. And, we just assumed. We watched the birds. We didn't see anything unusual. But once we started taking genetic tools and applying them to these systems that we thought we knew about, we found out that more often than not, those babies were not all the offspring of the male bird. So the female is mating with more than one male. And that flies in the face of what we think about, not just other animals, but us as humans. We think about males maybe benefit from being promiscuous and spreading it around, whereas females benefit by finding one really good quality male to sire their babies. And that's not just us. That's hundreds of years of reproductive theory. But what I've found through studying sharks, and other scientists now through studying all sorts of other creatures, is that females being promiscuous, mating with more than one male in a single season, and not just finding that one perfect guy that's out there, is not just common, it's normal. And now it's been found in sharks, freshwater fish, insects, birds, reptiles, amphibians, mammals, primates.
Do the animal? I know this is gonna seem like a silly question, but do the animals have any sense? All right, so here, female has had multiple partners, right? Only one of them, naturally, is the father of said babies. Maybe not. Okay, fine. We'll get to that in a moment. But let's say that's the case. That shark, long gone. Now there's another guy shark here. Does he have? And I know this may seem crazy, but does he have any sense that, like in a Maury Povich kind of way, that those aren't his shark babies? Or does he just accept, oh, these are clearly my babies now? I know I'm asking an awful lot of your science. Right?
Well, no, that's a really good question. But the male and, none of the parents in shark world provide any kind of parental care.
Got it.
The biggest danger for a baby shark is an adult shark. And so the females will actually, when they mate, after they mate, they'll be pregnant for, 15 months or whatever. And so after that, they just drop off the babies and then they swim away. So neither the dad nor the mom has any kind of parental care. In fact, what we found is actually that female sharks will stop eating right around the week or two, right around when they give birth, because they go to these nursery areas, these pupping grounds, where the babies stay for a while. They stay for years, depending on the species. And it's shallow. There's not a lot of big sharks. Right. There's a lot of little stuff for them to eat. But the parents are gone and they're not eating, we think, because the likeliest thing that they would end up eating is either their pups or another pup from another female. And so that mechanism really kind of keeps the babies safe from predation by the larger sharks.
I could ask you a million stupid questions about this all day. I'm so
excited.
No
stupid questions.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited you're here. Before we go to the audience, though, 30th anniversary Shark Week. This is a huge deal. Your special's Friday, I believe, right? Forgive my ignorance, is this your first time with Shark Week? No.
This is my first time on Shark Week. Yeah, it's very exciting. Thank you. I've been on other networks at different times, but Shark Week is Shark Week.
This is the one.
That's the epitome. That's how you've made it.
Exactly. This is the end-all, be-all of shark celebrations on television. And 30 years is pretty amazing. Outside of obviously your special, which we know is coming, what are you excited about this year on Shark Week? What are you looking forward to, other than all of it?
Well, there's a really cool show on the Megalodon. Have you heard of the Megalodon?
The Meg.
The Meg. Yeah, like the movie. Yeah. But there's also a show. It's actually right before mine. It's at 9 o'clock on Friday, and it features Dr. Lisa Whitenack, who's an amazing female shark biologist, and she does a little bit of myth busting, and it goes into the reality of the Megalodon, because, the Megalodon probably looked a lot like a great white, except, I don't know, maybe 3 times the size. So it's understandable that people are a little worried, but you can take it from me right now, just so you know, They're extinct. I promise. I swear.
I mean, to be fair, even if they weren't, guys, we're on land. It's fine. They're not getting in here. I promise you.
We're not their food.
Yeah, we're gonna be all right. That is so cool though, to think that something that large at some point. Is there any known limit to how big one of these creatures could conceivably be or have been? Like, are you guys constantly surprised every couple of years you find a new bit of information? We thought this was the largest. Nope.
Well, what we're still finding out is just how little we know. For instance, this shark that we named after Eugenie Clark, the great shark lady, that shark is been around since before the dinosaurs. We didn't know it existed. So that's what's really exciting is that, sharks, they have a week. You would think we would know all there is to know, but really there's more that we don't know and more questions every day. This special, what I learned in Shark Week Babies, it just opened up a whole new box that I'm going to now be working on and doing research on for a while. Yeah.
That's so exciting. Well, I look forward to that special next year, and you got to come back. Shark Week, guys, you know where to find it. It's running all week through to July 29th on Discovery. Look for your listings. And your special is going to be Friday. Check out that Meg one. We've got mics in the room. Is that right, Liz? All right, so let's go ahead and get some questions. First one's going to be right here.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering if you could be an expert or study any other marine animal, what would you choose?
Good question. I like nudibranchs, so let me explain.
Beg your pardon?
They're like these tiny, cute little sea slugs, and they just have real wacky colors. But they're closely related to another type of snail. And, I'm a reproductive biologist, which, just so you know, it's not the same thing as a pervert, just FYI. But, so nudibranchs are related to flatworms, and flatworms have this really weird reproductive mechanism where they do something called penis fencing. I'll give you time to Google it if you want. So I would love to study the reproduction of these crazy flatworms because they're both male and female, and then they take their little penises and they fight with them, and whoever wins gets to be the male.
And which night of Shark Week is that special airing? Because
I think Flatworm Week is in March.
Okay, Flatworm Week is March. That's good. It's different. Up and Comer Week. That is. Hang on a second. How long have you been working on that answer to that question? Because that is not something you just on the spot thought of. I know what I'm going to talk about. The penis fencing slugs. That's what.
Penis fencing is always on my mind.
There we go. That's the original tagline for this special. I only got one more. All right, I'm sorry. It's because I talk so much. Next question, last question right here.
Hi, our next question is going to be an online question. Zach wants to know, in past Shark Weeks, it's been said that whale carcasses could have an impact on white shark breeding. Have you found any new information regarding this?
Well, not to spoil it too much, but yes. So without giving it away, the place where we were filming this special was a breeding ground for gray whales. So we were able to kind of observe the biology of the gray whales and who are in the lagoon with their babies right around the same time that the white sharks are there. And so we got to learn a little bit something about those interactions, but it's definitely, they're part of the same ecosystem. They're part of the same food web. And so their life cycles definitely influence each other. But just how, you're gonna have to tune in.
Thank you for that question. Thank you for both the questions. And thank you guys for being an awesome audience. As I said, I'll say it again, 30th anniversary Shark Week is all week. Just started last night, goes till Sunday the 29th. You know where to find it. Great White Shark Babies. Did I get it right?
Great White Shark Baby.
Great White Shark Babies is coming up on Friday. And there is so much information. And it's a really fun special, too. You guys do so many cool things.
You had a great time.
You're so freaking cool. And thank you. The work you do is so cool.
Ditto.
And thank you so much for hanging out with us. Congrats on everything. I hope you come back for some other amazing stuff.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody, please make some noise for the great Dr. Toby Daly-Engel right here.